It's Monday, November 8th. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gill. The Ministry of Health and Wellness says Jamaica surpassed the 1 million mark in doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered. This achievement, which was previously announced as a November 30th timeline, comes as the country continues its vaccination program with blitz operations at several sites across the island. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton saluted the public health team for their dedication and continued efforts in taking vaccination to the country, and also thanked the ministry's partners in private sectors who have contributed to the efforts. Jamaica is currently administering 3 vaccines to the population: AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson, all of which have been approved by the World Health Organization, the WHO. Jamaicans are encouraged to visit the ministry's website or call 888-1-LOVE, that's 888-663-5683, to find the nearest vaccination site. According to the Health Ministry, as at Sunday afternoon, the country distributed a total of 1,455,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccines. Of this number, 553,341 were first doses, 391,782 second doses, and 55,333 of the single-dose vaccine. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has advised that it will, effective immediately, administer an additional dose of the COVID-19 vaccines to Jamaicans who are classified as immunocompromised, according to the World Health Organization WHO's guidance. The WHO has defined immunocompromised individuals as persons with immunocompromising conditions and those receiving immunosuppressive treatment. These include persons with active cancer, transplant recipients, immunodeficiency, HIV, and immunosuppressives. Chairman of the Jamaica Medical Foundation, Michael Fraser, says the government alone cannot succeed in bringing the vaccination message to the nation.
Government alone cannot succeed in selling this message of get vaccinated. What we want to see is a true and sincere bipartisan effort. You need Andrew Holness, you need Mark Golding, you need Dr. Maurice Guy, and you need Dr. Bisario. You need 4 on the same platform, speaking with one voice. You cannot leave it to the government alone. All right? Another thing, small you may say, but again, people afraid of pain. Every night when I look at the TV and I see the needle puncturing the skin, going in, I am not the one getting the vaccine, but I turn my head the other way. I don't like to see it. My suggestion, stop showing that needle going in to the flesh. There is some other way to communicate, get vaccine, other than showing the needle. Stop it. Suggestion. Okay? It is a turn off.
He also called for more stringent measures for the unvaccinated.
Like so many other countries that are doing it now, we have started making it difficult to retain your employment if you don't have your fully vaccinated card or you show your negative test. Move in the right direction. But has to go a little further than that, because so many of our people are not gainfully employed in the official sector. You want to go down the road of, listen, boss, if you're not fully vaccinated, you don't have your card, maybe you don't renew your driver's license. Big one, that. Maybe you're not allowed to go into internal space for restaurants or bars. You have to start to put the pressure on the people who have, yes, it's their body, it's their choice. Sure, it's their choice. They have a choice. We're not saying that somebody is going to hog tie you and stick a needle into you. That is making real mandatory. We're not going there. We're a democratic country. But you must decide and where your priorities are.
Mr. Fraser was speaking at the recent annual general meeting of the Jamaica Medical Foundation. The Court Administration Division now has additional tools to facilitate the participation of vulnerable witnesses. 2 retrofitted mobile units were recently handed over to the division. This will enable vulnerable witnesses to give their testimonies from a remote location. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says this is a step in the right direction.
The interesting corollary, or should I say, challenge of the pandemic, whereby we have to use technology, is a good thing in the sense that we now recognize how useful and important technology is. So that it won't be long before virtually any court hearings can be done via virtual technology. I think over the next few months, I have been reliably informed by the Court Administration Division that the internet services in all the courts, certainly in all the parish centers, that they will be upgraded so that we can and will be able to do virtual hearings in various courts across the island. In addition, I'm aware that MSET, the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, is spending over $500 million to roll technology out across the island, not only to help the court system, but mainly the educational system and other agencies of government.
Chief Justice Brian Sykes says remote hearing guidelines have also been established as part of efforts to improve access to justice and to incorporate greater use of technology in court operations.
These 2 buses are not an end in themselves, but a means to an end, which is the increased access to justice to our citizens. And as you would have heard, there are mobile testimony units, which really means that there'll be one way by which persons who are unable to get to court for whatever reason can have access to these buses and utilizing modern technology so that their testimony can be brought to the court.
The full guidelines can be found at the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court's websites.
And what this is, it is a document that is going to guide how persons can gain access to the court remotely and how the court will conduct its proceedings. It's in really simple English, easily understood. It's on our website, so it can be downloaded and taken with you.
The Emergency Powers Amendment Act 2021 was passed in the Senate on Friday, November 5. The act was amended to bring it in line with the nation's constitution. The court ruled last year that a state of emergency declared under the act was in conflict with the constitution and that the detention order is unlawful. Clause 2 of the Emergency Powers Act has been amended to include a definition for a period of public disaster. Amendments were also made to the penalty provisions under the Act. Leader of Opposition Business, Peter Bunting, and Senator Damian Crawford voiced strong concerns. Senator Crawford took issue with the monetary penalties.
There are some rules to law. You should know, you studied law. One of them is equity in the law. And if it is that a breach, a man where speed, we just report that a man where speed and is a risk to life was $10,000. And a man where just not go home on time is $1 million. And a man where broke a red light is how much? $4,000. And a man when have a mask is $200,000. That sounds like reasonable enforcement of law. There are many Jamaicans who have served time in jail because of their inability to pay the fine. And now we're seeking to move that fine to what is unaffordable to most Jamaicans.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Senator Matthew Samuda, who piloted the bill in the upper house, explained the rationale behind the penalties.
We have been chastised in this house before, and perhaps rightly so, for not having parity across laws. The $1 million fine is consistent with the DRMA, and it is also consistent with the Interpretation Act maximum penalty for breaching regulations. Now, that is important because all of these acts have been voted on in this House. And, correct me if I'm wrong, Leader, I don't recall a vote against the DRMA in any of its dispensations from the opposition. I don't recall a vote from the opposition against the Interpretation Act either. I also don't recall them. Oh, they certainly didn't vote against those. They agreed? I didn't even remember that one. I also recall, now that I've finished what I don't recall, I recall the opposition signing a crime consensus saying to the country that they supported the use of extraordinary security measures, which included the use of the military in that crime consensus. So, Mr. President, they were either doing that then for political expediency or they lied to the country. If not, they will vote this afternoon for the adjustment, rather the amendments to the Emergency Powers Act.
Jamaica welcomed the world's largest private residential ship on the weekend. The MS The World docked at the Ken Wright Pier in Port Antonio, Jamaica on Sunday with 90 passengers. Jamaica Union of Travelers Association, JUTA, operators say a number of vaccinated staff are taking the high-end passengers to various parts of the island. The 644 feet Bahamian registered ship is described on its website as providing the ultimate lifestyle that comes with combining a private yacht and a luxury vacation home. According to the website, the luxury ship has 165 individual homes with residents from 19 countries who collectively own the ship. We now delve into the world of business with this timely market report from Gabriel Thompson.
In foreign exchange trading for Friday, November 5, the US dollar sold for an average $156.32. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $125.54. The pound sterling traded for $210.80, and the euro sold for an average $183.90. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 757 points to close at over 406,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 95 stocks, of which 39 advanced, 41 declined, and 15 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 27 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and CAC 2000 Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 1834 Investments Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Blue Par Group Limited, and Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU Deferred Share. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial was the volume leader with over 2.4 million units, followed by Jamaican Teas Limited with over 1.4 million units, and Future Energy Source Company Limited Ordinary Shares with over 1.1 million units. In market data for oil, prices rose on Monday after Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil producer Aramco raised the official selling price for its crude, suggesting demand remains strong at a time of tighter supplies. Brent crude was up by 90 cents or 1.1% at $83.64 a barrel after dropping nearly 2% last week. West Texas Intermediate crude gained 87 cents or 1.1% to $82.14 a barrel, having declined almost 3% through Friday. And with that, we close this Monday edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
Here are some of the stories making headlines across the region. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, has announced that the state of emergency will be lifted by the end of November. Terry Brown Campbell has the details.
After 6 months of lockdowns and curfews, persons in Trinidad and Tobago will be free to come and go without certain restrictions come November 30th. In addition, businesses will be free to set their own operating hours. This, as Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says, he will not seek to extend the existing state of emergency.
The state of emergency is coming to an end at the end of this month, and as of now, I don't have any intention of asking the Parliament to extend it.
Any further extension of the SOE would have required a 3/5 majority to pass the measure in the Parliament.
Curfew comes out of the emergency. You can't have the curfew if the emergency has ended. But I think by now we would have gone into a routine, and I think by now the population should be able to cope and to do what needs to be done, because this is no longer a short-term situation. This situation that we're in it for the long haul.
The Prime Minister made the announcement while addressing a media conference at the Piarco International Airport on Saturday. The media conference marked his return from Glasgow, Scotland, where the Climate Change Summit is being held. Terry Brown Campbell, TTT News.
In the Bahamas, despite a drastic drop in COVID-19 cases, former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands is warning Bahamians that they're still in a pandemic. Bethany McDermott tells us more.
Until the entire world is vaccinated, until the entire world is adhering to the public health measures, none of us are going to be safe. What that means is that as the world approaches 6 million deaths from COVID, that the possibility of a fourth wave being fueled by another deadlier variant than Delta could occur.
As of November 3rd, the Bahamas recorded 22,485 COVID cases and 657 deaths. That day alone saw 14 deaths confirmed. Since coming to office, the Davis administration pledged to get a handle on the pandemic and provide free testing. Dr. Sands, who served as health minister under the Minister administration, says while numbers are low, the country should prepare for the possibility of another wave.
And if that happens, we do not need to be caught, and forgive the language, with our pants down. Let us make sure that we have an adequate supply of PPEs. Let us make sure that our health facilities are prepared. Let's take the time now to get it right. Stockpile what we need. Rehire nurses and healthcare professionals to deal with the next wave or the next disease. Because COVID ain't gonna be the last one that's coming.
As of October 31st, 133,081 Bahamians and residents were fully vaccinated. 135,629 people received one dose and 263,875 doses were administered in total. The former Elizabeth MP says the level of vaccination still isn't sufficient.
We are not yet at the threshold level of vaccination that most people think would provide significant community protection. We are at about 30%, 33%, give or take. Other jurisdictions are far higher than that, and even they are seeing an increase.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
In Grenada, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, during a series of meetings in September, assured health workers that they will be duly recognized and rewarded for their role in fighting the coronavirus pandemic. Labour Senator Andre Lewis suggests that health workers' employment status be made permanent if they truly want to recognize their efforts.
Labour representative in the Senate, Andre Lewis, says one of the better ways government can recognize health workers for their hard work and sacrifice since the onset of the COVID-19 virus in Grenada is to make them permanent employees within the public service. In September, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell commended healthcare workers for their enormous sacrifices during a series of meetings with doctors and nurses at the country's hospitals. He assured them that government will examine what can be done to ensure they are appropriately recognized for their diligence and dedication in this dark hour. However, during Thursday's sitting of the Senate, Lewis said that despite the generous words from the government, to date, many frontline workers were not paid the 4% salary increase as promised by their employer, neither the retroactive payments in August and October respectively.
A number of the nurses, the maids, the cooks at our healthcare facilities have not gotten the 4% increase, even those who got it in 2020. A number of them have not received any retroactive pay. And therefore, as they look forward to the legislature, as we sit here to extend the state of emergencies, as we sit here and we give praises to them to the walls of Parliament, they are not seeing these recognitions in their paycheck and in their working conditions.
Senator Lewis said that he is aware that these are challenging times for leaders. However, he said that while some believe it's the worst time to lead a people, he sees it as an opportunity to showcase true leadership.
Because it also speaks to the aspect of confidence. Because when we speak and we encourage people to be vaccinated, and we encourage people to wear a mask, to sanitize and physical distance, but they do not get a sense that we are standing up for them in terms of a material way that you call bread and butter. If they get a sense that we are not interested in their well-being, sometimes it makes it difficult for them to follow us or to take our advice. Therefore, these things are important.
Senator Lewis made the statements during his contribution to the debate on Grenada's State of Emergency Extension Bill, which was passed in the Senate on Thursday and in the lower house on Tuesday. May 1st, 2022 will be the new date for the state of emergency for Grenada to end.
One of the better ways of recognizing the contribution is to ensure that they all receive, those who are not permanent be made permanent, because it impacts the delivery.
Cherry Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
In sports, we put the spotlight on cricket. West Indies captain Pollard has indicated he has no intentions of stepping down from the post of captain despite a horrendous World T20 campaign in which they failed to defend their title.
We can look at all sorts. We can look at age, we can look at mobility, we can look at everything in a negative light or whatever. But my question would have been, what if it didn't happen? Obviously, we have to face the fact that we weren't good enough. So I'm not going to sit here and blame all those factors. As I said just now, we'll have our time where we'll sit back and have a post-mortem as to what actually went wrong. But some of these guys, in all honesty, have still performed around the world. And yes, as I said, we were disappointing. But when you look at it at certain times, when these guys are not playing for us, we ask the question as to why. We have an opportunity now, they're playing for us, okay, they didn't perform. Now, this is why we didn't perform. So, for us, you make a decision. When you make decisions, you have to stand by it and you have to stick by it, be it good or bad. All right? So, for us, we're not going to harp on that. We made a decision of how we wanted to play T20 cricket this year, what we wanted from the individuals, and it didn't work. These things happen. Sometimes it's better to try and fail than fail to try. Right? So, for us, I keep saying we are disappointed. Guys have not performed. Guys have not done well. Guys have not done justice, to their talents, and we have not done justice as a West Indies team. So we take that on the chin, and again, we move on. We have life, and there's a lot of other different things we can think about, going forward.
Final question. You're a guy who loves to use the word being accountable. Has this taken any hit towards your personal ambitions as captain, or will we continue to see Pollard going forward as the leader of the West Indies white ball team?
Well, personally, I don't set personal goals for personal glory. I play cricket to win cricket matches each and every time, and we came to a World Cup to win, and we have not done that. Unless you're part of the decision that is going to get rid of me or fire me or retire me, as I stand right now, I have no intentions of not playing international cricket. One tournament or a couple bad games don't make a summer. And, you know, for me personally, there's a lot of mileage in my legs as an individual. There are people in different scenarios who make decisions, and I can't, when it comes to that question, yes, I can't make, you know, that decision. But again, we have a tendency as things go badly, the easiest thing for us to do is, you know, look for things to blame and chop and change and do different things. But we accept that. I accept that. I take it on the chin. You know, sometimes you have to absorb the pressure before you apply. But personally, as an individual, I've played a lot of good cricket, you know, in the last 18 months or 2 years or so. So, you know, 3 or 4 games, not going to deter Karen Pollard. I'm sorry.
And that's our package. You've just watched the news on PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.